What's up, guys? My name is Shady Steven, and this is my first video on this new channel. I'm going to be trying to focus primarily on this one on mostly video games or other stuff, I guess, that kind of catches my interest, that delve then just more into the Miami Dolphins, which, if you guys know, I do a podcast for them, and that is at Via the Source. Now, for today's video, it's a bit of a rant, and I want to say beforehand, I'm not trying to get in somebody's lane. There are a ton of other people that are saying a lot of the same things I have. Guys like Ryan Moody, who has done just an amazing job. I was lucky enough to speak with him on the phone a few years ago. Soft Drink TV, that franchise guy. There are a ton of guys, and I'm not trying to, take away from them or trying to steal their message, because they have done an awesome job. But I do kind of want to get it off my chest, primarily because it is a huge issue, and that is the state of the Madden franchise. And if you look at what they did, most people are aware that Fix Madden franchise was trending on Twitter nationally. It wasn't just trending on the For You, Tailored For You page. It was trending nationally for everybody at number 2, I believe, at its highest thing. The only thing that was beating it was Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith's news. But it was up there, and a lot of people were seeing that people are very frustrated with Madden and primarily the franchise mode and just what the EA team has been offering for their customers for these recent years. Now, I could go over all these gridiron notes and, discuss it in detail, but a lot of it's not even worth talking about. But there is one here that really needs to be talked about, and it says here, franchise has an expanded wildcard playoff round to match the real-life NFL, which now features 3 games for each conference instead of 2. Yeah, of course, this is supposed to be in the game. This is a rule the NFL changed. Are you going to showcase that you added the Oakland Raiders' new stadium in Vegas too? Are you going to showcase that the new rookies are now in Madden, just like the real NFL? No. This is common sense. If the NFL implements a new rule, it is kind of expected that the NFL game, the only NFL game is set to be a simulation one, is going to have the new rule in place. It is kind of a no-brainer. So the fact they're even putting it here already kind of shows they're scraping the bottom of the bucket, just looking for anything they can have to show fans. And as for the rest of the gridiron notes, it's a lot of the same. A lot of these little tuning fixes and minor updates, stuff that could be done in a patch. And now I know this is kind of a Madden focused video, but we have to talk about the other games competing with them on the market. And I'm not talking about just sports games. I'm talking about the biggest games right now. You look at Call of Duty Warzone, and I know it has gotten, a ton of flack for being this massive 200 gigabyte game, but look at the updates that they have offered. In just the last update a few days ago, they added 50 players to their Battle Royale mode for free. They added a new weapon into the game for free. And on top of that, Warzone itself is a free game. If you look at Fortnite, free game, one of the most influential ones of all time. They added free concerts, they added a ton of free content and weapons. Meanwhile here, we take a look at Madden, which is not free like Fortnite and Warzone. This is a $60 annual release, and you look at these updates to the game that they're doing on an annual basis. This could have been done in a patch. I would much rather have a free 50 gigabyte patch added to my game than some $60 sugar-coated recycled garbage. And that is what Madden is right now, because all of this really could have been done in a patch. And it goes to show that they are doing the bare minimum at this point. I think truly where we're at right now, Madden should be a free-to-play game. If you are going to include the same amount of microtransactions, such a heavily aggressive style of adding these microtransactions in the game, in their Ultimate Team mode, which clearly they put most of their resources into, then the game should be free. I'm fine with Fortnite having all those microtransactions in the game because it is free. I'm fine with Warzone actually doing the same thing because it is also free. But Madden, it seems like, wants to double dip in all of these. They want to add an aggressive style of microtransactions. They want the game to be full price, $60. They want it to be an annual release. And on top of that, the game itself isn't even good. You are not even adding the amount of content, not even a sliver of the amount of content that games like Warzone, that games like Fortnite, that games like 2K are adding. And I know if you look at what Madden is doing right now, the face of the franchise, they are desperately trying to mimic what 2K is doing with their My Career mode. And, on paper, I like the additions of what Madden is doing with their face of the franchise mode. I have no problem with that being added. I know some people think it's a bad addition. I have no problem with them adding it, But that is if there's already a solid foundation in place, and Madden does not have that. 2K has the liberty to be adding all this other stuff like the My Park and the neighborhood and the bikes and, you know, the funky outfits and all this stuff, because they had such a good product that it pushed NBA Live to irrelevancy. They couldn't even put out a competitor that could even compete with NBA 2K, and I'm talking about EA. And 2K didn't even have a license the way the NFL does. So 2K was able to add all these extra features, add all the flashy stuff that people could pay and get those microtransactions in, because they had a good foundation in place. They had other modes that other fans could enjoy. They didn't just have that. And Madden, it seems like, is trying to double dip and get all the money they can while blatantly ignoring what fans want. And a part of me thinks that this ignoring a franchise isn't just an accident, but rather it is intentional. I think that, you know, it's an evil part of me thinks that EA knows if they put a good franchise mode out there and they put a mode that is free to play and that doesn't encourage microtransactions, that it may actually turn people away from Ultimate Team. And that is a horrible way to look at it. Are you not content with the $60 minimum effort game that you are putting out? Is that not enough money for you? A lot of games aren't even $60 anymore. Are you not content with getting all that money and getting a good sum of it from Ultimate Team as well? I don't understand what EA is doing. And then the last thing I want to talk about is what franchise means to football, not just Madden, but a football game, and why franchise, I think, is more important than having a mode like My Career, because football is a sport that is centered around the team, whereas basketball, if you look at basketball, is definitely a more individual style of sport. If you look at what NBA fans like, they like the personal element of it. They love following their favorite player around. A lot of people don't even have favorite teams. They just like LeBron, or they like Steph Curry, or they like KD. They like following them. They like all the stuff outside of basketball as well. It really is a culture, and that is not a bad thing at all. And I delve into that to some extent. I'm a big basketball fan as well. But when it comes to football, I think people focus more on the team as a whole and on the sport, and not on the individuals themselves as much. And I think that is partly why it's difficult to market NFL players, because when people think about football, they're thinking of the team. They're not just typically following around and following their favorite player. They're looking at the team. They're looking at the intricacies of the coaching carousel. They're looking at things like the contracts and front loading them and back loading them and the development of players, and all of those kind of things are, I think, what passionate football fans want when they follow. I don't think they want to see these cutscenes about what NFL players are doing off the field. I mean, it is a nice touch. It's a nice little thing if you have the opportunity or the luxury to add it to your game. I don't think anyone will complain, but you need to be giving the fans the meat and potatoes. You need to be giving them what they want, and what they want are the things that fans like about football. They want the intricacies of a contract. They want the development of players. They want these coaching carousels. They want these narratives that build, and contract holdouts, and a player not wanting to play, and, you know, people butting heads, all the stuff that goes on, and all the narratives that we see that Adam Schefter tweets. You know, we don't care about Snoop Dogg being in the game. We don't care, like, if they were to introduce some weird story like in 2K's My Career where his best friend died in a car accident. You know, that's a nice touch, but that is not what we want. And all of this has just been discussing franchise mode and the general direction I think they should take. It's not even diving into the issues with gameplay and the lack of a physics-based engine, which is a huge problem in and of itself that I did on my other channel. But guys, what EA is showing to be coming to Madden 21 is nothing but a patch. It is not worth $60 by any means. And I think we're at a point right now where customers and, you know, just generally people who play video games are extremely intelligent, and they're not going to be falling for these blatant lies that they try to feed them anymore. I don't think that's going to be happening. If I can play a game like Warzone where I'm in a helicopter with 200 other people at once with live projectiles, I could shoot an RPG and someone across the map will see it. You can't have that on the market and then expect me to believe that EA, one of the biggest companies in terms of video games in the world, cannot produce a game where there's referees, where there isn't realistic people on the sidelines, where they told us 2 years ago they couldn't have the Pro Bowl because there was an issue having different helmets with different uniforms. Like, are you kidding me? I could have a realistic M4 with a ton of attachments, but I can't have a guy who looks like an actual NFL player on the sideline. It's incredible. I can't have jersey numbers in the fans that aren't number 0. This is bare minimum effort being put into the game. And I know there are some people out there saying that, hey, I'm still going to get the game because, you know, my boycotting of the game doesn't matter. People are going to buy MUT packs anyway. It doesn't matter if I boycott it or not. Guys, that's not true at all. If you look at what fans did when it came to EA's Battlefield 5, there was a huge backlash with that game before it released. I was really proud of the Battlefield community. They really stood up and they didn't buy the game. 2 weeks later, the game was on sale. It made a huge dent not having people buy those games. Even though, you know, people will get the microtransactions from MUT, they are going to be losing a ton of purchases from what they're expecting to be getting, and their shareholders will take notice of that. And if you look at other instances, remember Battlefront, the Star Wars game, it was the most downvoted post in Reddit history, and guess what? They changed our whole microtransaction system because it was such a huge deal. So don't think that standing up doesn't matter. It really does. And if EA doesn't change their way, I know the NFL will not like to be associated with a company that is viewed this negatively. The NFL cares a lot about their image, and if word gets around that EA is truly being this bad, then maybe they will, you know, do something. They will accuse them of breach of contract, or they will find something in their notes over there that they could get out of that deal with them. And that is how I'm going to wrap it up. So guys, if you could subscribe, you know, that would mean a lot. It would be a huge help. Again, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the other YouTubers that said a lot of the same things I've said. Ryan Moody, Soft Drink TV, that franchise guy, all of them have done an amazing job, and I highly recommend you check them out. They have done a lot of detail work for years, and I've been a big follower on all of them. And, you know, as I said before, I do an NFL podcast. It kind of focuses on the Miami Dolphins a little bit more. I get some locker room access to some games and some interviews. So if you want to check that out, that is on Twitter at Via The Source. You can check it out on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, that is at Shady Steven. So, guys, that is how I'm going to wrap it up. I'm Shady Steven. This was the first episode. I thought it was pretty nice. Let me know what you think down below. Until next time, guys. Catch you later.